Now that we have a basic understanding of where our keyboard playing areas are and what makes them different, it's time to look at three things we can use them for. The first is scales, the second is dynamic coloring, and the third is voicing and balancing on the instrument. For scales, we can use the end spot and bizarro end spot on any combination of scales in order to have a uniform resonance from note to note and establish a basic foundational concept of our tone. So for example, if I play an A-flat scale using only end spots and bizarro end spots, the tone from bar to bar is extremely similar. If I were to miss and use some end spots and some bizarro end spots, but then also sometimes hit the rope or play in a color spot, you would suddenly hear jarring differences like this. This is actually a common thing I hear when students first come in because they haven't developed their awareness of these zones in the first place to know that they should be targeting them. Practicing with these conditioned locations is going to develop not only your consistency and your accuracy on the instrument, but it's also going to train your ear to expect a consistent tone from every bar and just give you a foundational tone concept. Interestingly, you can actually find old articles from magazines as far back as the 1960s where people have been mentioning ideas like this, that they want to play halfway between the edge and the center of the bar and on the end spots for a more uniform tone. So musicians from every time period have understood intuitively, if not as scientifically with a tuner, that this is a really good idea and a worthy way to start. The second thing we can do is pair our resonant zones to dynamics written into a piece. So for example, we can use our end spots and bizarro end spots for most of the areas of a piece from, let's say, mezzo piano to forte, but there may be a special section at fortissimo or at piano or pianissimo where this usual zone is just coming up a little short. Either we have to hit the instrument really hard in order to make a difference, or we just can't seem to get the resonators quiet enough, and it's all getting washed out to a general mezzo zone. This is where we want to apply our playing areas to change the color of those dynamics as well for more clarity. There's a great example of this in Zivkovic where he marks it at piano. And that seems fine, but in context, sometimes that's not actually quiet enough. It sounds a lot like the previous section. So by pushing forward to my color spot, I can get a much lighter sound. Listen to that one more time. With the same basic playing approach, I can get a much lighter and airier sound, which gives me better contrast. The last example is your voicing and your balancing on the instrument. It's no surprise if you've been playing for a little while, you'll notice that the bottom bars are a whole lot louder than the top bars. And so if you're playing an accompaniment with a melody, it's possible that your accompaniment will greatly overpower with its lower resonance the melody you're trying to do up here. And so you can use your zones to emphasize the melody by using the centers of the bars or just the bizarro end spots and end spots. And then you can de-emphasize in the accompaniment by using your color tones. It doesn't change what the notes are, it just changes how prominent each of these things is. Another example from Zivkovic, if I play this all in the bizarro end spots and end spots, or if I voice it out to the centers and the color tones. Aesthetically, you may prefer one version of those over the other, and you may not agree with someone else's interpretation. The point is, the zones are there, and you can make those choices. If you're working on something and it's not reaching your artistic concept, you have these tools in place to make adjustments. Obviously, these are skills that are going to get a lot more nuanced over time, so I recommend as soon as you're capable of understanding this, you start applying it right away. Using this from early on is going to strongly develop your basic skills and set up some expectations going forward so you'll have this toolkit at your disposal as application becomes more nuanced and you're making more artistic decisions for yourself.